is a potential enemy within Australia, to justify also their policies on refugees and to divert attention away from all the bad things that they do. And we, the broader community in Australia, the 98% of people who are Muslim have got to stand strong today and say, we're not going to accept this. Last weekend, these same people tried to rally in Richmond and they were chased off the streets. But on the 18th of July, they're coming back again at Flagstaff Station in the city on a Saturday in the afternoon. And I got to tell you, there will be thousands and thousands of Australians coming down there to say that we are not going to allow open racists to come on the streets of Melbourne and victimize Islamic people. In just the same way as the previous person said, Hitler did it against the Jews and others back in the 1930s. We can't let that happen. We all have to come together to stand up to the policies of the government. It doesn't matter what your religion is or no religion, what your background is, all ordinary working people, we're all in the same boat. The people that I represent in Richmond and Fitzroy and Collingwood who vote for me and I'm their leader, their problems are 40,000 people on the public housing waiting list. Their problems are their children not being able to find an apprenticeship. I work in the building industry. Very few apprentices nowadays. Their problem is their children trapped in casual, low-paid work. You go to university, you've got a debt over your head for the rest of your life. You go to the hospital, you're waiting 6-7 hours to see a doctor. They don't blame Muslim people for that. It's Tony Abbott and people like him. So we need to come together. So what I've come here tonight to say to you is that we will be there, the broader community, on that afternoon. And instead of 10 of us to every racist in the morning, we will have 100 of us to every racist, 1,000. And I come here with my hand in the heart to invite you and really encourage you to come and support this movement because it's actually against you. They want to get everybody in Australia to not be worrying about the government, but you're worrying about you. It's actually unscientific, it's racist, and we ask you to come down for a peaceful, large rally to show the world, because they're all going to be there, Al Jazeera, CNN, all the TV stations, and we are going to show the world that Melbourne is united. And we will not let these racists dirty our name in Australia and internationally. So I encourage you to put that date in your diary and to please come down for a peaceful demonstration to show that we're going to stick together and not let any section of this community be witch hunted and isolated by the government or racists like Reclaim Australia. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Stephen Jolly. So as promised, inshallah, we should come in thousands, come with flowers, come with chocolate, celebrate, and show firm that you belong to this land and equal to any other Australian. You are not less. Don't be intimidated by some cowards, because those people with the swastikas, they only attack women on the trains when the woman don't have a man with her. Tonight, inshallah, we have a solution for that too. So bear with us, inshallah. Now I call on the Honorable Cheema, the executive, one of the executive of the Islamic Society of Victoria, to come and tell us. He will tell us in few steps what we should be doing as Muslims and how we overcome this racism. Please, Jazakallah khair. Brother Junaid. Please have a seat. Mic is on.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I don't know where Brother Maizam got the notion of honorable. It's the first time I've been called that, so it's a wrong expectation. I sit on the board of the ICV, and I'm a humble community servant. That's what my role is. So, brother, please, for next time, inshallah.
Everybody for me is honorable, inshallah.
Look, thank you for having me here today. MashaAllah, HIYC is one of the largest Islamic societies in Melbourne, and it's a number of community leaders here today that make this society possible. The ICV, as you know, and I'm from the ICV, from the board, it's an umbrella organization which represents over 150,000 Muslims here in Victoria. And the members on the board of the ICV are also seen as community leaders, but I don't consider myself that. I consider myself as a community servant, someone whose test of success is the enrichment of this community and the enrichment of our community at large. So inshallah, what I will share with you today is precisely in that spirit. I'm not a scholar of Islam. I don't claim to be one, nor do I even consider myself close to piety. I am a humble practitioner of Islam, somebody who gets an immense strength from this faith. So my brothers, my sisters, what I share with you today is precisely in the spirit. May Allah forgive me for my shortcomings. It is fair to say that Muslims are going through a difficult time at the moment. It's fair to say that we feel victimized. It's fair to say that we feel victimized by certain officials, by certain papers, and by certain interest groups. It is fair to say that Islam is accused of problems that is not of the making of Islam. ISIS is not Islamic. It is fair to say that the image of Islam given to our fellow citizens is ill-conceived. In the best of circumstances, it is ill-informed, and usually it's ill-intended, making our society quite ill, quite sick. And this is not the type of society we want. This is not the type of society that anybody wants. But to add insult to injury, we are accused of playing the victim, which shuts up all debate, which shuts up all freedom of speech. But regardless of the situation, and regardless of the victimization, we can't afford to behave like victims. Because a victim can never help himself. A victim can never help herself. A victim needs a savior. And we don't need a savior because our trust is in God. The promise of those who put their trust in God, as you know better than I do, is clear. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. This is the true mark of the believer, repeated in the Quran over and over again. There is no fear for the believer, nor does the believer grieve. The past is with the past. There's no point in grieving it. The future is in the hands of God, so there's no point in fearing it. What we have is a present, and the present is a gift. And we must remain hopeful, and we must use the present for the right purpose. We cannot afford to be scared or passive, because laziness and apathy is a form of hopelessness. And we can't afford to be angry or full of hate, of grievances, of frustration, of extremism, because frustration is also a form of hopelessness. We are a people who believe that if our trust is in God, then we will not grieve, nor will we fear. So we can't afford to be lazy and apathetic, nor can we afford to be frustrated and extreme. We must be constructively active and keep our trust in God. Now, like many of you, I read the parliamentary proposals of revoking citizenship rights with a very heavy heart. The proposal suggests that if you are suspected, and the key word here is suspected, of promoting, funding, or participating in terrorism, you will have your citizenship revoked. This is not based on evidence, but rather based on suspicion. You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're deemed guilty, and now you have to prove yourself innocent. Now, despite turning the entire judicial system on its head and devaluing the Australian value of respecting the rule of law, I don't understand, and many among me cannot understand, how this will make Australia safer. We are told that the greatest weapon extremist groups like ISIS have is social media propaganda. If we take away somebody's citizenship and send them overseas, do we not give ISIS the gift of another propaganda warrior? If we can put terrorists behind bars to protect our country, why are we sending them overseas to put them behind computer screens to cause harm to our country? On one hand, we want to starve ISIS of funding, and we want to starve ISIS of recruits. On the other hand, we're revoking people's citizenships to send them overseas so they can be recruited for ISIS? These laws don't make us safer. I can't understand, and many of us can't understand, how these laws would make us safer. So we have the right to question, but in the right way. So I read the proposal with a heavy heart. Many of us have been here for generations. Some have come with our parents, and some have made the choice. Whatever the situation, when we came, we never looked back. The story of this nation is a nation built on the back of brave immigrants, and we've always considered ourselves part of this story. We have spent our lives working for the community and the country. Our most loving memories are inseparable with this nation. And we believe that this is our nation, and we believe that the Australian citizens are our people. However, these new laws send a very cold message. They send a very cold message to many of us. The message that they send is, you're not really Australian. So you should be careful about loving something that doesn't love you back. It's a very cold message. It's a cold message, no doubt, but we cannot afford to be angry. We cannot afford to be lazy, and